interesting edition of Lagos Talks. Let me actually post.
And it's time again for Lagos Talks, 9 a.m. every weekday morning. We come right through and we talk about things that concerns all of us here in Lagos. This Tuesday morning is an interesting conversation we're set to have here, and we'd like for you to be part of the conversation across our various social media platforms. My name is Victor Pepple.
And I'm sure and today we're looking at something that affects quite a number of people, although you might not know it. And we're going to be talking about intellectual property. And this is the show where you get more about protection of intellectual property. Conversation with us. They can call us up on 01 Send your WhatsApp messages in 2080. You'll find us on Twitter and YouTube. On Twitter, we are at Snoop91FM. Use the hashtag LagosFolks981 or just tag us. And tag, we'll be able to tag all the participants in the conversation. And youtube.com/Snoop91FM Lagos. We are streaming live right now. Go over there, watch what happens in the studio, leave your comments on the live stream, forget join the conversation.
And it's Intellectual Property Day. To celebrate, I mean, it's an observance, 26th of March, 26th of April.
Yes. Just keep them.
26th of April every year, all right? And intellectual property, it's a big conversation that most times we're not even ready to have. But this morning, it's going to be very enlightening as we have this conversation by sharing with discuss and what Shopware has said already. Be part of the conversation simply by getting across to our WhatsApp and Twitter platforms. Our guest on the program is the business unit head in a law firm, Jackson Etienne Edu, a sector-focused full-service law firm with a robust intellectual property practice. His expertise cuts across intellectual property portfolio management as well as data protection policy advisory. Collectively advises local and international organizations on intellectual property rights protection and commercialization with emphasis on registration, prosecution, and brand protection in Nigeria and across Africa. Lieutenant Peter, good morning.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Shopware, and good morning, Lagos. And happy Intellectual Property Day.
Same to you. So this is a new one, right? Because we're taking off your personal hat and we're putting this hat on, which is the regular hat. And so I'm really interested in this conversation because intellectual property cuts across. I mean, there's so much that the lay average person might not know about intellectual property, what it encompasses, what they can do with it, what certain actions that other people take that affect their IP rights and what consequences they can have. So we're going to be discussing all of that in the rest of this hour.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just start off. Okay, let's do the basics so that everybody can all start with the same level playing field. What is it?
Okay, so I'm gonna run through the basics pretty fast because so we can go into the meat of the gist. Yeah.
Okay.
So intellectual property is any creation of the mind that you can put in a fixed form. That becomes intellectual property. So it's
Please, English.
yeah. So in practical terms, when you have an idea,
Mm-hmm.
when you have an innovative step, the moment you are able to, when you have a great story, when you have a great song, and you are able to put it in a tangible or fixed form, that's you put it on paper, you create something, and once it becomes tangible, it becomes, or it can be said to be intellectual property. So remember, like I said, it has to be tangible. So the fact that you have an idea is not really intellectual property. It has to move or it has to develop into a tangible or a fixed form. That basically is intellectual property. So in practical terms, we could see, for example, a logo on a billboard, a great song, a hit on billboards. The music Shokba is playing here on Smooth 98.1. The movie that you saw at the cinema, the new iPhone, or the new Toyota Corolla, or the new dress or design by a leading fashion house, or even the lady on the street who designed a dress that is, sort of novel. That is to say, it's not something you've seen before. All these things, all these ideas, a painting, even by a primary five student, all these things can be said to be intellectual property.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw some random questions at you.
Go on.
What about stuff like words?
So, like I said, it has to be tangible, and there are criteria for different types of intellectual property. If you look at the types of intellectual property, we sort of put all these things into boxes. So if you have words and you say put them together into a poem, it becomes intellectual property. So a word on its own is not
So
intellectual.
you can't create a new word that goes viral, catches everyone's attention, that you have put in a tweet, and so they can attribute that word to you.
Now,
and that's not intellectual property.
now, when you do that, then you want to make it, like I said, we have to now put these things into boxes. So if this word is something that identifies you or identifies your brand, then that word can be intellectual property. In a sense, it can be your trademark. Okay, so if this word is an invented word, like you said, something you come up with, and then you now say, okay, all my dresses are going to carry the word, or whenever I deliver something, the word is going to be on there, or for example, my application is going to carry that word. That word can now be said to be your trademark because it carries a goodwill of Shokwe Martins.
What about NFTs?
NFTs are or can be intellectual property. I mean, it's the new buzz in town, isn't it? Now, and this is because they are, like I said, they are creations, right? They're creations of the mind, and eventually they can be copyrighted. So, like I said, all these things, one way or the other. Look, intellectual property is all around us.
Really vast. Now, you did a great job talking about music, arts, writing, fashion, and all that. But why does all of this need protection?
Great question, Victor. So, intellectual property, let's look at it like a house, right? And I said something. They are different boxes, or the different rooms in the house, right? So there's a room called trademark, there's a copyright, there's a patent, there's a design, and the list goes on. There's trade secrets, just like that. Now, the reason why you have to, or the reason why you need to protect this thing is because it's an idea that you have fixed. Now, you want to get the necessary attribution that belongs to you. You want to get the necessary credit that belongs to you. And more importantly, in today's world, you want to get the necessary financial or monetary compensation that you ought to receive for creating this work, or creating this design, or creating this song. So now, more importantly, or the rationale of intellectual property is to reward creativity, right? Okay. So when this person comes up with this fantastic idea that they have fixed and they can commercialize, intellectual property rights ensure that this creative or this idea is duly or properly rewarded.
Okay, we've got a message in from Cisco Delgado, who says, what are the ways to protect intellectual property rights against plagiarism?
Okay, fantastic. So first off, plagiarism is, like I said, is in one of the rooms, right? So plagiarism will fall under the rules and copyright protection, right? So I have written something, right? And I want to make sure that I get the necessary credits, even aside from monetary compensation, for example, right? Or, let's say I'm a lecturer or I'm a final year student and I write an amazing dissertation or whatever the case may be, or just the a research I have done, right? So when I write this material, I want to make sure that I get the the necessary credits that I deserve. Now, should you want to use my work, it's fine, no problem. Like I said, I'm not necessarily doing it for money, but I just want to get the necessary information out there, right? So when I now want to copy this, the law demands that so Chopin has written something, I want to copy it. So the law demands that I give Chopin the necessary credits that she deserves. Now, whereby I do not attribute or give the necessary recognition to Chopin, it becomes plagiarism, because I am giving people the impression that I initially wrote that material. Now, in that case, I am guilty of plagiarism. Now, intellectual property right differs in different jurisdictions, I mean countries, areas, regions, and all that. So in some jurisdictions, plagiarism is a more serious offense than others.
Okay.
For example, the United States, they don't play with plagiarism.
How about Nigeria?
Nigeria, I mean, it's morally wrong. We have our copyright laws, but
when we start saying morally, I can already see that.
Well, yeah. So in Nigeria, this is the thing. In Nigeria, you have to be the one to expressly go out there and make sure that your work is properly given the attribution it deserves, right? Our copyright laws aren't so, I mean, they are well intact, but our copyright laws are not so strict on plagiarism. I mean, in the United States, they have applications that even check plagiarism, right? They have, and because of that, you can actually be, like I say, universities actually also enforce it. So because of that, you can actually be maybe failed in a class, or you could even, get a suspension in school for plagiarizing somebody's work. And the thing is this, it's not like you cannot copy, right? You just have to cite, you just have to give the necessary reference that I got this from here, or please see in the footnotes, da 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 da.
But what does the law say about intellectual property here in Nigeria?
So in Nigeria, like I said, we have a house, okay? So in Nigeria, intellectual property is classified within trademarks, copyrights, like I earlier mentioned. We have a patents and designs. We have a Plant Variety Protection Act that protects new plant varieties.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yes. It's pretty new. It's pretty new.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty new legislation.
Okay, so but that came from the need, right?
I mean, look, so this is it. I mean, we had laws that protected seed varieties, especially when it comes to seeds that you want to export and all that. But there was maybe like when there is a lacuna or gray area or a challenge that the previous legislation is not addressing or doesn't cover, then there might be a need to bring in a new legislation or amend the old legislation. So that is why we have the Plant Variety Protection Act. And like I said in the beginning, right, the rationale behind intellectual property is to reward creativity. So the previous laws were not rewarding creativity as regards to plant variety protections, right? So maybe I come up with a new seed that can maybe make cassava have different colors, or make a particular type of corn grow faster, or grow in another. I mean, I'm not a farmer. Something like that, exactly. So if I'm able to culture the seed, and then I'm able to produce plants and crops from the seed, which was not, like I said, wasn't there before, then I can approach the necessary bodies for protection of my plant variety.
All right. Now, you two listening right now can ask questions or react to the conversation on WhatsApp. 0809 444 0981. When we come back, we'll take your messages. Stick around. Interesting. People are sending in questions.
I was I know when you have this kind of conversation where people want to talk about movies. I wrote a song. I wrote a film. I wrote this. I wrote that.
Alright, so
So we've been doing it now.
what do you want from
I
me?
did not take the picture.
Don't worry, I'll take your picture
Oh, thank you.
I hope this lasts till
with
Friday.
my Pixel 6 Pro
No.
that takes extremely fantastic pictures. So let me take a nice picture. But it's okay. I was just saying the
okay.
light is not.
Sharpsy. By Thursday now she'll be like, "Oh, I'm tired of this new
It's only for
found
today. It's only
hobby.
for today.
I don't want to be taking pictures again. No, I'm tired."
YouTube now.
We hold the greater part of the population, and it's time for us to agree that it's in our hands.
I'm sorry. I get very, very.
Oh, okay.
This is why she gets there by Friday.
Yes. Oh, I love your smile.
Visit
I love your smile.
Okay.
Okay.
What we're gonna do right now is take you way back into time.
Way back.
Okay.
Back to timeless music.
All right. Now lean into the mic and put your elbows on the something.
What?
Lean into the mic and look serious.
Oh, okay.
What is this? This is models.
What?
Are you being a model? Yeah, look, this is- Okay.
How are you?
Hi, Samsi. I got it. Yamsi.
Oh, this is so nice. Oh, no.
Oh, see, this is your smurf.
Gentlemen,
I love it.
we
Yeah.
I'll send you more.
are
Okay.
Don't touch
back.
your number.
Okay.
Smith 98.1. It is 19 minutes gone past 9 o'clock in Lagos. You are talking. Today is World International Property Day and wait, hold on. Intellectual Property Rights Day. And yes, for that conversation, we decided why not have a Lagos Talk special and invite a guest, Tenor Fidel, who's a business unit head at the law firm of Jackson, Etienne Edward, and that's a focused full-service law firm with a robust intellectual property practice. Now,
We'll just run through with some of the messages on WhatsApp before we get back into the conversation.
yes,
with
the
this
conversation
promise.
being all you need to know about protecting your intellectual property because people, this is Nigeria. We need to know what we can do, what we can have, and what rights we have according to the law so that we can then make sure that we enforce our rights.
Wiley sends a message. He says, in the case of Nigeria, are these intellectual properties protected? The courts, please, that's the police. Do they ensure they follow through? I have seen stories on these and not sure people got the right judgment. So, can we trust our system to protect intellectual properties? That's number one. Let's just race through with some of them. This other one.
And the second in from Cisco Delgado says, it has happened to me. Someone took up my project work in university and took all the glory as the one who designed the work. I actually designed and built a community
Community
radio
radio.
station, then called Franco FM, which is now known as Lion FM presently, and those laws are not effective in Nigeria. That's from Cisco Size.
Austin also sends a message. He says, "Please tell your guest, please tell your guest to say how he can be found on social media. Let him say it now. Now, now I am about to go out because I have a okay.
Special painting that I would like to protect. Well, Austin from Satellite Fidel was about to tell you.
So my Twitter handle is @Izotene. That's IZOTENE Izotene. On Instagram I'm at grand_KHADI. That's Caddy, Grand Caddy on Instagram, and Izotene on Twitter. And for the record, if you do paint something, it already has copyright protection. Traditionally, copyrights you don't need any bespoke protection for it. It just has copyright protection automatically. However, there are strategies moving forward to make sure that nobody copies it, or that you get adequate compensation if somebody's going to use it, for example, like an NFT that you mentioned. Yeah, but once you do create something with respect to copyright, it is automatically protected. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Now, one thing I want to ask is, so people have mentioned the fact that individuals will come up with very creative ideas, like you said, IP is about protecting your innovation and creativity. They'll come up with creative ideas for maybe events, take it to certain big businesses, banks, telecom providers, what have you. Agree with the plan, they'll come up with a plan, take it to a big company and say, this is what I'd like you to do, I would like sponsorship for this, and to which the company will say, well, we can somehow further down the line, we have something exactly the same, just with a different name. How do IP owners deal with that?
So there's something we usually say in law: equity aids the vigilant and not the indolent. So I mean, it's comfortable to just sit and wait for the law to do something for you, right? But on your end, you have to be careful, right? I skipped one of the messages where someone said, are there do these intellectual property laws work? My dear brother, they do work. Or it's just that if you're not vigilant to go ahead and make sure that you are adequately compensated for a breach of your intellectual property rights, then it's more or less like you're sleeping on your rights. Now, for people who go and pitch to banks or pitch to big businesses, they have this amazing idea, and then they want to pitch to this organization in order to get maybe sponsorship or maybe get endorsement or whatever the case may be. It's tricky, but there is a very good solution to it, I promise you. Now, so first off, you must understand that your intellectual property rights is property in itself. It has value. You must appreciate that first. You must have I'd say it has to start with you in your mind. You must understand that this thing has value, right? And so you don't walk in there like somebody going to beg. You have to walk in there like somebody looking for a collaboration, right? So, and we tell this to creatives all the time. When you are going into these places, you do not, a bank won't tell you that, okay, I'm going to give you money and then I'm going to give you all the money, right? They're going to want to see maybe like a project paper. They want to see some documentation. They want to see that they want to see some compliance, right? And even when they're going to give you the money, they're not going to give you everything. They're going to give you a portion of it to start. And as the project, develops, they keep putting in funding, right? So the same thing with intellectual property. When you walk into that room or when you walk into that conversation or that DM, what you do is give a portion of it, right? A snippet, a pitch. You cannot give out everything at once. And Shopper, like I said in the beginning, right? If you have an idea, it is not an intellectual property right. An idea is not an intellectual property right. Ideas are a dime in a dozen. I can think about a story of a man who, a child who eventually could fly, and then somebody in Oshogo can think of a child who eventually wanted to fly. So if I
But if you have shown that somebody in your manuscript of the story.
indeed, Shokwe, I'm going to get there. But imagine if I just went to Osun State and then I came back, and then somebody in Oshogo now brings out a story about a man a child who eventually learned how to fly. I'm going to think that, oh, that guy stole my work. No, because I never had contact with him. But the truth is, these ideas come to people, whether it's the Holy Spirit, whatever it is, these ideas come to people. So it's up to you to make some effort. Like I said, you have to be vigilant, to make some effort to protect it. Now, in the case of this guy who is going to a big business, you have to, like I said, make two things. You do not give out everything, like I said. Then I would always say, make a paper trail. So don't go to these businesses with word of mouth, right? Start a conversation, start an email trail, send a letter, let them reply your letter. When they reply your letter, let them say what you are about to do, and say, I'm going to do this. I'm okay. Thank you for inviting me for this meeting. I'm going to be coming with my pitch document, and please understand that this is proprietary information. Do you understand? You have to make sure that you leave this trail so that posterity will have it on record that they took this thing from you.
Now let's talk about processes of protecting intellectual property.
Okay, so it's simple, right? I said in the beginning, it's not simple, let's be honest. I said in the beginning, copyright automatically has protection, right? So I'm going to just touch on them quite quickly. So copyright automatically has protection, but to make your burden of proof light as a feather, you might want to deposit your literary work or whatever the case may be with the NCC, that's the Copyright Commission, right? For your logos, for example, Shakwa, just behind us, this is a logo. Exactly. Love music, love life. You want to trademark it. You want to make sure that the Nigerian Trademarks Registry is aware that this belongs to you. So if any radio station, if any streaming platform, if any business wants to remotely use this slogan or this logo, Shakma and the Smooth team can go after them and say two things: either you stop, or you're going to pay me for damages for making people have the impression that this belongs to you.
Now, in the vein of vigilance, right? If we, for example, if, for example, we have been operating this and using this logo for the past 11 years, 12 years, and somebody goes and files a what is it?
A trademark.
A trademark, yes. And let's say in 2021, how does that work? Is it then theirs? Or if we show that we had this since time immemorial,
okay, so this is it, right? I mean, if you approached me, I'll first give you guys like 5 strokes of cane and give them 10, right? So, I mean, you had this thing for like 10 years. What were you doing? Right? So, I mean, yeah. So, if they do go to protect this or file a trademark application for this logo, I mean, those on YouTube can see it. But if they do go and file an application for a trademark, Smooth FM can go to court and say, hello, no, this belongs to me. And that's why you have to, and I have to say this, you need a lawyer, right? If you do want to do business, they say that 2 people you need to have, and none of them is your pastor or your imam. It's a lawyer and an accountant. Do you understand? Because these things are technical, right? So in law, they can say, oh, it depends, right? The first person to file it is the owner. But when I can show that for the past 15 years, 1, I have been using this thing, and then 2, this person is jacking my logo. That's this person is using it, knowing fully well that people associate this love music, love life with me.
All right, we're due for a break. We'll pick up from that thought after this. Stick around. You can send your messages to us on WhatsApp.
And follow.
Sorry.
You're so angry.
Wow.
Why the violence?
Wow.
Sorry, I was already.
Why the violence?
I didn't know. Sorry.
So something that I wanted to ask, maybe it can just be for YouTube because we have maybe about 20 minutes left. And so we're going to focus on time is not just for that. One thing I wanted to ask about patterns, right?
Yeah.
Because we see a lot. I mean, you see on the news all these really innovative people who come up with these inventions.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of any, but our boys in the east, they always come up with something.
Yeah.
Whether it's a tractor that has
Yeah.
3 wheels and it can run on old plantain oil or something along those lines, right? If somebody else now comes and says, "Oh, this is a fantastic idea," you know, and a lot of hullabaloo has been made about this person invented this thing. Because in the US, what we see is even if, as in the Hollywood movies, what we see is even if someone has created something that has the invention, as long as someone else files the patent, they have all claims. Is that what really happens?
So it happens. Look, Choko, I won't lie to you, right? This world is not just. There's no justice in this world. In some cases, you can get compensation for it, right? Some cases you win, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't.
But the truth is, if you do have this invention, the smart thing to do is to go unprotected. But if you can prove that this person stole it from you, if you can legit prove, and the burden is very, very heavy, if you can prove, then you can take it.
Wow, we're back already. Okay, so we'll do messages. Messages, and then we'll go into
Welcome back. You're listening to Lagos Talks Intellectual Property Day, April 26th, and we have Tene Fidel in the studio with us. It's about time we jump over to the WhatsApp portal to look at some of the messages that you've sent across. A lot of them come with questions. We just run through them and you try to see if you can answer some of them. We have Larry from Ikeja with this one says, "Good morning, Smooth FM. Can I trademark and copyright a website?" Number 2, if done here, can it have a global coverage? Number 3, how does one go about that? Then we have this one from Ajibade,
who says, "I came up with an idea on a website, and a popular professor went ahead and patented it in the US."
So I'll just sorry. So I'll just quickly say, I'm not sure if he's trying to say an application or a website, because what you can do is copyright a website, right? An application in some areas or some jurisdictions you can patent them, but most times you want to just copyright a website. So a website is just eligible for copyright, and you can't even trademark a website. You can have your trademarks on your website, but you cannot trademark the website, right? So because the website, I mean, the computer guys out there, you can help you. A website is basically a bunch of code just running down. So it's more like a work of art, if you want to say. So you can say that for websites you can copyright them. For applications, the application, mobile application, these things are really for copyright. In some jurisdictions, they can be patented, but the idea behind it might be, would I say, like a waste of time, because I didn't really touch on patents, but patents are how you protect inventions, and the law only gives you 20-year rights in Nigeria, for example, in other jurisdictions. You get 20-year right to exploit the patent within 20 years. So the thing is this.
That applies to medicine. So,
Yes, so a new medicine, a new formula, right? Say, for example, I remember when we were younger, they used to use chromium for malaria. They came up with artesunate, they came up with artemether manufacturing, that kind of thing. So at some point, one big pharma company, and that's why one pharma company had exclusive right to that. Indeed. So one pharma company had that invention for 20 years, and they probably selling triple the price. They had to pay more than that. Then when it now becomes in the public domain, everybody can now use it. Exactly. So, but the thing is this: with patent, with applications to that, mobile applications, you can patent it. But when you think about it, by the time you use this application, before 6 months or a year or two, you upgrade. But 20 years for something that's going to change the world. Look, like I said, so sometimes when you build already existing, you can't still yes, sir. So you have it for the rest of your life, 70 years after. Ought to. Now, like I said, intellectual property sell, just the way you can sell your house, you can sell your intellectual property, you can license your intellectual property, just like you rent out your house, right? So if you sell your intellectual property, let's say an agreement where you sign a record label, where you make music, but the music belongs to the record label, what you now have is only moral rights. In those areas, yes, you do have it for like 70 years. I'm sorry, you do have it for the rest of your life, 70 years after you pass. But most of the time, what happens is that the royalty in all those songs, that's from the money they make, from streaming, from endorsements, is not for the artist alone. Right? There were guys who made the beats, there were guys who produced, there was the mixer and everything. So all these monies are split across the value chain of music production. And obviously the largest chunk goes to the record label because they are the ones who, bankroll the whole thing. Some of the money is also going to go to the collecting society, for example. When we go to iTunes, we go to TikTok, we see these songs play. Somebody has signed a deal to make sure that those songs are not infringing on this record label's intellectual property rights.
Well, then that's why, Taylor Swift was pretty big. So she was in finance. So they were encouraging Taylor to work buy contracts as to be able to stream on new tracks as opposed to streaming old tracks. So, she had Taylor Swift, the Taylor tracks just because of this.
Yeah, so in that case, I mean, Taylor has already had songs, right? A collection of songs on her label. I don't know what exactly the content of her contract is, but what happens? But what happens is that most times you see there's a lot of we see on social media a lot of times when artists are trying to fight for their masters, trying to get their masters, because this is like the intellectual property in tangible form that they have ownership of, right? So the truth is, like I said, most of the time this thing rests in the record label. What the artist has is moral rights. Moral rights simply means they have the right to be acknowledged or accredited as the person who sang the song, as the person who wrote the song, right? So when they have that moral rights, it doesn't pay bills. So they want more than these moral rights. They want their masters. They want the right to be able to commercialize. They want the right to be able to get the royalties when the technology companies like the TikToks and Apple Music and YouTube are streaming it. So that's the reason why these artists are fighting for these things, and that's probably the reason why Taylor Swift is out here trying to move forward.
We don't have enough of Nigerians who protect intellectual property. How can we, begin to encourage some of these young people and tell them that it's super easy, something you should jump on as soon as possible?
Victor, I differ. A lot of Nigerians, you will be surprised how these young guys
with music and the arts.
Yeah, with music. Okay, so for music, I think the music industry is developing so fast in Nigeria. People do not know, especially music and film. And even with writing, with the novelists and the script writers, they are developing fast, especially in Lagos. I share your opinion. Maybe outside Lagos, maybe the knowledge isn't so democratized. But what I'm saying is, in Nigeria, in Lagos, commercial capital, right? A lot of artists are learning that look, you need to look between the lines of your music contract, right? There were the times when the artists of old, when this person sings a song, like, I wrote that song, and then he's trying to, claim ownership of the song, but the guy who sang the song is cashing out, even if they were in the same music group. So these things happen, and it does happen abroad too. But what we now see is that with the younger artists who are coming up, with the availability of knowledge online, we realize that these guys are able to, even if they can't pick everything, they can see that, oh God, this one, what's written here in this contract is not so nice. Now remove this one. But I would always tell people, it's just like taxes. You need somebody who has the expertise. And that's why you need a lawyer, and not just a lawyer. You most likely need a life lawyer, because you can't have a dentist looking at your clothes or looking at your ears, you know. So yeah.
We're due for another break. In the last lap, we'll wrap up the conversation with our guest, giving you how to reach him on social media. Stick around for that.
And you need to tell us, is the webinar recorded? Like, can we play it somewhere? Is it anywhere? Because you told us about the webinar, but now we want to watch
Yeah,
it.
gosh, I don't know if I'd have to speak with the guys. I'm sure they recorded it. I'm sure they recorded it. Well, yeah.
Because it would be nice to have it out there.
Yeah. So, but let's have this conversation. You guys have a game.
Let's do it.
Oh dear.
That's everything. Okay, what does Frank understand? What protection do you have if you send your script to a film producer and he uses it without his knowledge? I remember Jude, was it Jude that had this issue with Community Williams?
Yeah, there was that.
Yeah,
there was that
yeah.
one. Even there was a story that you guys did with James, where like something about the Sam Clef saying, "Run me my money." The banking. So those are royalties, right? And the contracts do ought to state that Sam Clef is entitled to this, or Sam Clef is entitled to that. You understand? You can call somebody out on social media. It's a strategy, right? It's not the law.
It's a strategy
It's just a
that
strategy.
also works.
Indeed.
Because the thing
Did he respond? Did so that was the other way about me.
I like this. Great leverage.
Well, nobody can argue about that.
So like that's how I read the contract with this American publisher. He wanted to take my chapter, and I just saw something is perpetuity. I was like, in perpetuity? Doesn't that mean forever and ever and
Ever and
ever?
ever.
Forever, ever, ever?
And the funny thing is,
But I think also enough people don't realize that contract is they're talking about
it's a conversation.
you know. So when they give you the contract, it's not one and done. It's the start of the conversation. But a lot of people are just like, ah, God, this is what they sent. You know, I have to take everything. And here we are, Lagos, Nigeria, world, wherever you are tuned in from. It's the final few minutes of Sweeney Breakfast and of the Lagos Talks. We have been talking about intellectual property because today is IP Day, as we like to say. And we have in the studio with us Tenet Rebel, who is a business unit head at a law firm, Jackson & Company, and they've got a pretty robust intellectual property practice. And one thing that I was asking so that we can is when the president spoke about the webinar that Paul had hosted, and they had lots of, and it was targeted towards women creators. So we're asking
So I mean, I'm gonna have to come back to you on that, where I'm gonna check with my guys at work. It's probably gonna be on YouTube, or I will definitely send it across to you guys.
which means that we need to follow him on social.
Yeah.
So you can find him on Twitter, or even with Instagram to generally you can find him on Twitter.
It's Alternate on Twitter and at grand_caddy.
Could you spell the Twitter handle?
Oh, so the Twitter handle is IZOTENE. Is Alternate.
All right, there you have it.
It's called Grand Caddy. Well, Grand_Caddy.
Grand_caddy. So I mean, Grand is GRAND_KHADI.
All right.
So please, don't ask us. Ask him.
There were people saying, Shopper, just type it. His handle. We need to ask him.
He spelled it out for you.
Send a DM. Help us. I need to protect and protect.
Okay, now for that, is there anything that we might have missed in the conversation? Seeing as we've got a couple of minutes to wrap up, is there anything that maybe is quite important that we haven't touched on?
Okay, so I'll just say this, right? With intellectual property, um, don't be too scared. I mean, people are sometimes afraid, oh, I don't want someone to steal my idea. I don't want someone to steal my idea. Don't be too scared to get your idea out. Just keep some of it, you know, in confidence. And if you do have to share, make sure you leave that paper trail.
Now, I just remember one thing about piracy. There's a big issue. The piracy market in Nigeria, because we haven't touched on that at all. And let's face it, when we're talking about IP, the people that are selling books on the road that tap against your car, that's somebody's intellectual property that they're selling. And you know the money moves into the person. We've had our musicians who had to negotiate deals with pirates in order to get even a
Movies as
fraction
well.
of their money. We saw people, directors like Kumi Afolayan, who came out upset, frustrated, visibly, almost crying, saying that what's the point of being a creative in Nigeria when your work just easily gets stolen and distributed? Even novels, somebody's novel will come out and maybe it's due to lack of sensitization, but the PDF or EPUB version will just be all over. People will disseminate in WhatsApp groups and group chats. Let's talk about that.
So look, Shokwe, like I said again, you need to be vigilant, right? There is only so much the law can do. I mean, in other climes, right, there is more, would I say, proactive um, dispensation of justice, right? But in Nigeria, again, I feel like I've said this too much, but I'll say it again. You need to get a lawyer. There are lawyers who are able to protect your work by virtue of. I mean, there are ways to do this. There are raids. There.
Oh, raids. Because I was about to say, there's being vigilant, and then there's being vigilant against something that is very
So Shokwe, when I say vigilant,
almost a machine.
when I say vigilant, maybe I need to break it down. Sometimes, I mean, you're the creative. You don't really have the time to start going to look for and carry touchlight and look for who's pirating your books. So you need to have, like I said, lawyers who are very well versed and know these kind of things, right? I have to be honest with you, Shokwe. Piracy, counterfeiting, these are major areas that are like they are. I'd call them mountains for brands and creatives alike, right? The same problem big brands are facing is the same problem creatives are facing. You just have to try and get out there and get people who know this stuff to cut it down. Shokwe, you cannot, I hate to say this, but you might not be able to eliminate it, but you can control it. I mean, I'll give an example. If we look back, sometimes we see how popular FMCG beverage drinks, right? They keep changing their bottles. They keep changing their bottles from the stout type of drinks to the beverage that is probably the most popular beverage after liquid after water. You understand? We see when these brands keep changing their bottles. It's not always because it's just new and improved. No, they're trying to get rid of a particular bottle that is being counterfeited so much they can't stop it. So these are strategies. So, like I said in the beginning, there are strategies behind protecting your brand. You have to be vigilant, and by being vigilant, it's not necessarily you being the one to do it. Just get somebody who knows how to do it, and that's why I always highly recommend you get a lawyer who is versed in this area of law.
We need to go now, but thank you very much, Tene Fidel, for being a part of the conversation today. Thank you for coming.
Yes, you can find him on social media, on Twitter at Consulting, and on Instagram at brand_camp. And that's that for Lagos Talk Sales and World Pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
And yes, that's it for Smooth Breakfast as well.
Yes, the show's come to an end. Right after this, at 10 o'clock, we'll bring you Strictly Soul. And that takes you through till 1 o'clock when Khadija comes through for the Cars Bar up until 4.
And she takes you on a world music journey. You do not want to miss that. Because it's a Tuesday on the Casbah, you get to listen to the amazing sounds of Afrobeat and Afro jazz music from all around. So make sure you join Khadija. Right after that, it will be Kaide and Zibi on your smooth drive, keeping you company. And Tuesdays means total.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. You need
Lots
to
to
be part
look
of all
forward
of
to.
it. We'll be
Lots
back
of
again.
football news from over the weekend. So
That's true.
yeah,
That's true. You
Mm.
can't miss that one, 8 p.m. And then we'll be back tomorrow,
yes.
6 o'clock.
Victor Pepper.
And Shokbe Martins. You can catch me on social media at Victor Pepple, VICTAPEPPLE.
Yeah, just search for.
That's on Twitter.
That's all I ever see. And I am at Shopware Martins. There is no H, just SOPE. Shopware Martins and on shopwaremartins.com as well.
The World IP Day, guys.
See, get it this time. All right, YouTube. Thank you for joining us for this conversation.
Oh
It
gosh.
was an interesting
It
one.
was lovely.
It was really interesting.
Did I cover the